All right, this is going to be a quick video. I wanted to make this because I like giving people an alternative view on why certain things are done. Because we're constantly being tricked and bamboozled and swindled by the wealthy. So people never really understand the directions that our lives are going in. So you have people complaining about the homosexual stuff that's being pushed on our children, the sexual stuff that's being pushed on our children in public schools. And you also have, talk about, well, before I get into that, the homosexuality and the sexual stuff being pushed on children, and you're constantly seeing it here and there. And what made me think about this is this video just came around and I just saw it, and it really shocked me.
Parents, this video is for you. It is imperative that we pay attention to what is going on in our schools. I got a permission slip recently from my daughter's school, and we live in a fairly conservative area next to Akron, Ohio. The permission slip was for her to attend health class. Mind you, she is in 5th grade. It had the syllabus on there and a link to show you what material she will be learning. I did some research, and you will be astounded, oh my gosh, blown away by what they are trying to teach my 5th grader. Watch this video. It is absolutely disgusting.
Yes, come on, yes, oh yes. Aha! What are you doing there? You've had enough for one day. You'll go blind. I'm coming! How many times is too many to masturbate in one day? Hashtag Ask Amaze! There's no limit on the number of times a person can masturbate each day. I have another question. Sometimes my penis stands up in the air, and it feels good when I touch it.
When your penis stands up, it's called an erection. Girls also have a private part that they may want to touch because it feels nice. The clitoris. It's okay.
Mind you, I'm reminding you, the video is for 5th graders. This is not the only website that they will use to teach our children as well. The sad part is, in order to get federal funding, they have to do these programs.
When you're born, your sex is assigned in a medical way, but the sex listed on your birth certificate may not necessarily match your gender identity.
Gender identity is a person's inner experience of who they are in terms of gender, their deep personal sense of being male, female, a blend of both, or neither.
And while many people have a gender identity that's the same as their assigned birth sex of female or male, that's not always the case, because gender exists on a spectrum. Like transgender, which means a person whose gender identity is not consistent with their assigned birth sex. Non-binary, which means a person whose identity doesn't fall in the category of either male or female. And genderqueer or gender fluid, which means a person who does not identify themselves as having a specific gender at all.
Does gender identity have to do with being straight or gay?
Actually, no. Gender identity has to do with the way you feel about yourself.
So this is the kind of stuff that obviously is insane to push on children. And you have to ask yourself after a while, why would they keep trying to push this stuff? That parents don't want this kind of stuff being pushed on their children. Why would they do it? One of the reasons that you're seeing a lot of this done is because the wealthy know that this is going to upset a lot of parents. And a lot of parents are going to, because you're powerless, because obviously, as I've talked about in other videos, the wealthy own our government. So it doesn't matter about you complaining to the government. You're not going to be able to change anything by complaining to the government. You will not be able to change it. And the wealthy know that. So after a while, once people realize, well, I can't go to the government's in on it. They're the ones helping push this stuff and they're ignoring people like me. They're going to go the only other route that they have access to, and that is pull their kids from public school. Either teach your kids at home or spend your own money to send your kid to some sort of private school. And that's going to be really the only alternative for most people. And if enough people do that, well then, the public schools won't really need to exist anymore. Or they will be so minuscule that the amount of money spent on them isn't relevant. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is I don't think people see it a lot. That's why I like to make these videos. The wealthy are constantly trying to find ways to siphon money from our pockets to them. So, for example, when you pay taxes, obviously your money, a small percentage goes to providing services within the country. A lot of it is used to finance and fund the wealthy, whether people know it or not. A lot of it is used, it just goes right into the pockets of the wealthy. So you work 40 hours a week, your check is $2,000, or that's a lot of money for most people. Your check is $1,000, but you only see like 700 of it, and a good portion of that $300 that's been taken from you goes to the pockets of the wealthy. So really, you work. I mean, you work to keep these big businesses afloat. So your labor goes into helping them maintain their wealth. They give you a portion of that in the form of your wages, and then they also have set it up and rigged it so that the portion that they give you, they're able to also take some of that and put it back in their pockets. Now, the more money that is spent on services within the country, that means that's less money that the wealthy people can just pocket from the taxes that you pay. So the wealthy have been working for a long time now to get rid of certain services, like Social Security. They've been working hard to get rid of Social Security. Public education is another thing that they're working now to get rid of. So that's why you're seeing a lot of this stuff happening. Obviously, a big portion of it is to push homosexuality on children, but another big portion that people don't look at, these plans aren't just a one-step plan. They're twofold, threefold. There's many different reasons why I think certain things are pushed. It's not only to push homosexuality on our children. A lot of it is also, let's get people so upset with the public education system that they decide to opt out and they use their own money to educate their children, meaning you purchase your own supplies so that you can homeschool your child, or you pay to put them in a private school of some sort. You're paying that. That frees up money that would normally be going to pay for public ed. That frees up that money to just go back to the wealthy so that your politicians can come around and say, oh, there's this new conflict over in this other country. We're going to need this amount of money to cover that conflict. And don't worry, we don't use the money for public education anymore, so we're just going to be able to use this amount of money and send it over. That money goes over and it goes into the pockets of the wealthy because it's used to pay for things that the wealthy people own. So, we need guns and tanks, and the wealthy people own those companies, so that money is really just being funneled to them, and then they provide, use a portion of it to provide the whatever. We know how it works. So you're seeing a lot of this stuff happening because they're trying to sour people on the idea of paying for public education or using public education. And again, if enough people pull out of the public education system, well, that is that much money that can be used in these schemes by the wealthy to just funnel back into their own accounts. So it looks like in 2022, more than 857 billion went to fund public school in this country. Social Security in 2023, 1.4 trillion. Now, again, that's not a bad thing. That money is used, it's paid by us, and it's used to help fund us. So used to educate your children, used to support our seniors once they retire. That money is our money, and we've decided to use it to help ourselves. But these wealthy people are trying very hard to get rid of that because that's a huge chunk of money that if we're not using it for Social Security benefits or using it for things like public education, well, the wealthy can just find ways to have the money funneled to them, and they'll just pocket it and it'll be their money. People understand what's going on. The wealthy are constantly coming up with ways to take money from you and funnel it to themselves. That's what a lot of this stuff that you're seeing, a lot of it is for that reason. They're looking for ways to rob you and to get your money to get you to work to fund them. So all this crazy stuff you're seeing in these schools, they're trying to get rid of these public services because they don't want the money being used to help us. They want to find ways to use the money to enrich themselves even further. And because people aren't fighting back or doing anything, they're going to keep coming up with these plans and keep coming up with these ways to rob us, because why would they stop? We're not going to do anything to stop them. So wake up and pay attention to what's going on. A lot of this stuff that's happening is because they're trying to convince us to willingly let go of these public services. When we let go of these public services, it's not going to help us in any way. That money isn't going to be used to help us in any way. It's going to be used just to help fund the wealthy. So keep giving examples and keep trying. I keep on trying, but people don't listen. So good luck with that. I want to see what people say.